show in five, four, three, two, one. Fragments of Silicon, rated better than dead air by 4 out of 5 dentists.
All right, welcome to Fragments of Silicon. Casting at the usual time today. Enjoy that because next week is going to be kind of wacky scheduling wise. But anyway, your host Adam, and joining me as always to rake through. Um, Max status is I have no idea. Like, um, Max hasn't actually spoken to us in a day. Like, this happens every now and again. He gets by one project or another, and he kind of just vanishes for a while. I'm sure he'll turn up. He could pop in tonight. He could be off the show for several more weeks. It's always touch and go.
Mm-hmm.
You know, official status is he shows up with stuff, and until then, he's not on the show.
We're having some weird sound stuff, and I'm not sure if it's all on one end or on multiple ends.
Is everyone else having weird sound stuff?
Huh?
I think it's our guest lighting up.
Might be.
What are you hearing?
It almost sounds like breathing to me.
Breathing and a couple of mic bumps.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm not sure if it's you or not. Twilight's was blinking up some, so I'm not sure. And Adam, you were having the usual thing where you drop a little bit every sometimes. Not serious.
Is it fixed?
Seems to be.
All right, so with that audio check out of the way, on to the news. Oh, let's see. Twilight, why don't you start us off?
Okay, well, the week before last, my cousin who lives in Seattle came to visit, which was always nice when he does. Though, during that time, about Thursday, I think, well, yeah, just before he came in, we were having some weird electrical issues and then discovered Friday that our breaker box was malfunctioning.
That's never fun.
Oh boy.
No, it wasn't. Thankfully, I was able to get a friend of my father's who's a certified electrician to come over and look at it, and he discovered that now half of it, one of the main wires was shorting out, and thankfully he was able to get it fixed the next day without any fire starting. No, he told us the worst that would have happened. It was a surge would have shut out to somewhere to one of the electrical poles and caused that to explode, and we've gotten the power company involved.
Right.
Yeah. So after that, not much else happened. Had a nice visit from my cousin, and been playing games, and that's about it.
Okay then. Galix, you're up.
Well, I got my brakes done today, so I should be able to actually get past the state inspection soon. That was the main issue. That and windshield wipers, but I can do windshield wipers. My cousin actually came up to visit last weekend, and that was nice to see her. So we don't see her that often. Not really a whole lot going on. I guess this week's schedule has been a little bit hectic, but I have a head start on one of the games that we're doing this week, and I'm going to try to do more of that and then try some of the other one. So that's about where. Yeah, I've been playing Splatoon 2 still. I finished Octo Expansion, except for the ridiculously hard bonus boss, and looking forward to the Splatfest this weekend. That's about all I got.
All right, Petty fan.
Well, first off, the kind of cool stuff. Tomorrow we're going to be going to Walmart to pick up the pool we ordered. Yay! Do what?
Quite literal in this case.
Yep.
And my dad, who's been looking for a truck, got one. But somebody cut the catalytic converters out of it. So it won't pass Missouri inspection. And there are some other things wrong, and it's going to cost like $3,000 to fix. So he can drive it for 30 days on just the title, and then needs to figure out what he's going to do with it. If he's going to try and resell it and recoup some of his losses, or if he's going to try and put the money in and fix it. So that's fun. Let's see. As far as gaming stuff goes, I managed to pick up the Crash Bandicoot and Cortex Skylanders figures. Because they were at, like... Here we have something similar to the dollar store called Five Below, which is similar promise to the dollar store, only everything is $5 or under. And they had these there for $5, and they were selling them on Amazon for 15 to 20. So I was like, fuck yeah. And I think that's really it from my end. Oh wait, yeah, I finally beat the main game on Pokemon Moon, and now I'm just trying to do the post game and get all the Ultra Beasts.
Don't forget to pick up Magirna. There's a QR code you can scan to unlock the event, and then you have to go to some place and pick it up to get it.
Oh, is that still available?
It's QR code based, so I don't think it's time limited.
Alright, I'll look it up. Anyway, I think that's it from me.
All right, Ogre, you're up.
Let's see. Your recordings are going fine. We're pretty much almost done with Super Mario RPG.
It's been fun revisiting the first game.
Huh?
Have you enjoyed revisiting Super Mario RPG?
It's had its peaks and valleys, so. Let's see. So we got some stuff lined up here for the next couple playthroughs. I don't know anything about afterwards.
I'm sure you'll figure it out.
Keep being reminded about that Bucky O'Hare thing, but then I keep forgetting about that. So I saw a couple long plays for like the NES and the arcade version. I need to send those to Naka. That NES game, I remember that being way too harder. And again, I had that realization the other day of like, God, we just sucked as kids in comparison to adults.
I know, right? I remember, redoing Sonic 1 from back in the day. I couldn't get past Marble Zone, and now I could beat it without needing to use a continue.
Yeah, it's that weird realization. But, besides that, let's see, what else is happening? Well, it's less than 2 weeks until that Mega Man X Legacy Collection comes out.
Yes.
Yeah, that should be worth it. I don't know where I want to start on that, but I swear to God, part of me wants to start at 6 and just wonder how the shit just hits the fan with that one.
Oh, you'll find out.
Enjoy your red donuts.
I'm aware. I've seen plenty of stuff about it and go like, man, this is just like bad, but it's like weirdly okay at the same time.
That's about how I feel about it.
It's not.
Well,
It's not like you're. It's not like you're in for Sonic 06, but it's definitely like one of those like. It's playable, but man, this just needed the polish before it came out.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, it's still a 2D Mega Man X game, which
And
is
then
why
I'll
it's-
play X7, and my Switch will commit suicide, and I'll be like, "That's understandable."
Yeah,
I've
which
done
is
enough.
I've noticed on the eShop they usually kind of show off some games here and there. They showed off like a screenshot from 5, and then jumped straight to 8, and I went like, "You know what you're doing."
I know there
trying
are
to show-
plenty of
you're trying to
screenshots
show-
of.
You're trying to show off the good ones before you go like, and then here's these two.
There are plenty of screenshots from 6 that don't look terrible. The terrible stuff is when you're like trying to fight your 5th red donut, and now there's like instant kill fire on the ceiling. So
I also got a new case for my cell phone because the other one had like a kickstand in it, and that broke a while back, and I just went, well, might as well get a new case for it anyway. This one doesn't have it, but I'm not that hurt over it. And I guess they're working on some power lines in the backyard next to us because they had some city workers out yesterday digging up the ground to get to the wires. And then today they were out here digging it up again, but they had one of those little mini bulldozer things out here to dig up the ground. I was like, is it really that deep? Because it did not seem to be that deep.
Better to be safe than sorry?
I guess. I mean, it's city work, so. Let's see. Not a whole lot else there, so.
all right then. I guess it's my turn. Jeez. Most of my week's been busy securing shit for next week because we're going to be broadcasting at some irregular times.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's like next week we are going to be broadcasting at 7 p.m. instead of 9:30 p.m. because our guests next week are from Nova Scotia.
yeah, I can't promise I can be there for that.
Duly noted, but it's not something that could really have been avoided because our 9:30 was their 10:30.
Yeah, no, I know.
So that was a little too late for them. And after that, we will be having a show less than 24 hours later on Thursday, once again because of scheduling issues. Sometimes this shit happens. Like, so that's about it there. Like, so merrily we shall roll along to the interview portion of the broadcast. And speaking of schedule allocations, this week we have Chris Lavina of Tinybuild.
Hello.
Yes, hello. To update our listeners, we were expecting to have Carrie here again, who was on our show a few months ago, but she had a last-minute scheduling conflict, and so Chris filled in for her.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, thank you for that.
No problem.
Anyway, so since you're new to the broadcast, we're going to start out by asking our traditional question. What got you interested in video games on both a personal and professional level?
I mean, professional is probably just going to be like, no, I played them since I was young, and I decided during high school that I was pretty damn good at making them. So I went to school for 3D modeling and design, majored in design. Graduated, spent 2 years busting my ass to get in the industry, and finally Tinybuild hired me. And I got into games because of, I would say, my dad. He he beat the crap out of me and my brother at Tekken like a bunch of times. So that's probably like the first memory I have, other than like Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time.
Like, and where did you first work in the industry?
So Tinybuild, as a game industry job, is my first actual studio. Other than that, my first job was I made my own company to do PR and marketing for independent developers, as well as I helped them out as an event rep, at PAX, TwitchCon, PlayStation Experience.
Oh, that's interesting. We don't get a lot of kind of the invisible hand of indie development.
Yeah.
It's like I'm quite acquainted with indie PR because that's kind of how it helps with the show and all that. But yeah, we don't get a lot of representatives from that specific field. Um, so how long did you do the indie rep thing?
So as my own gig, I did it since 2016. It was under Bearded Astronaut, which I've also like put out a couple of games under, but they're like just dumb itch.io games I made by myself and like Ludum Dares and stuff like that. But I started doing like event representation as an enforcer in 2013. I've been to every single North American PAX since 2013. I've worked every single one of them. I was at the first TwitchCon, the first PlayStation experience when they moved it to California. I've been around. I've done a lot of shows.
Sounds like it. Like, do you still do that at Tinybuild?
So at Tinybuild, I represent them. So my first show was PAX East of this year, but a couple years ago, I'm pretty sure that they asked if I wanted to help out at their booth, and I already said I was going to be an enforcer for a couple people, so I couldn't do it. But I've known Tinybuild since 2013, actually. It's kind of funny.
It can be a small world, like in the games industry sometimes. But I suppose the question is, what attracted you to get hired into Tinybuild proper?
So what attracted me is that, I knew Alex, I knew Luke, I knew Carrie, and I liked the way that they run their shows, as well as I was actually generally interested in a couple of the games that they were producing at the time. And I recently moved to Seattle a couple months ago, so it was like a whatever text that I sent to Alex, because we're Facebook friends, and I'm like, hey, if you need help, I just moved here, I'm willing to do stuff, I'm applying everywhere. And then he responded immediately. He's like, hey, we have this opening for just like a general tester. And I did that for a couple of months, and I got extended to be an associate producer, because they enjoyed how I was at PAX East, because I brought all my experience from the prior cons that I've done to help run it, to help facilitate it, make sure that all their volunteers are getting lunch breaks, making sure that everyone is staffed correctly, everyone knows what's going on, they know what the games are, make sure all the games are running. So I got brought on to be an associate producer. I handle various testing bases, such as I handle some of the testing boards for Outpost Zero, Graveyard Keeper, Party Hard, which is coming out on Switch. We're starting. I'm gonna start like doing some stuff on Rapture Rejects. It's getting there, as well as I do a weekly stream. Like I'm everywhere right now.
I suppose now, there's a PR joke to be made here somewhere, I'm sure. Can't quite think of it off the top of the head, but anyway. How does it feel to be like on the other side, as it were, of game dev?
I mean, For me as a whole, not being on an actual development team it's a bummer because that's what I've always wanted to do. But being able, I I also have like this other facet that I love helping people out, as well as I love helping people make great things. Like when I was an enforcer, I loved just being able to be like, "Hey man, are you Gucci? What do you need? I hope you do it. I want to make sure you have the best show possible so you can show off your art." And with that, like I take that, and with all the clients that we have right now, all the games that we're producing, like they're making art, and I want to make sure that that is seen and represented in the best way possible.
And what does being an associate producer mean at Tinybuild?
So I'm not actually like I don't have a game. Like they this isn't the game that you they haven't given me like a game been like you're doing everything for this. You're making sure that the press is going out, you're making sure all the marketing material is going out, you're making sure that the release dates, everything else is going fine, you're making sure it gets released into lot check, like you're making sure the game is on its milestones and being able to deliver upon the desired release date. So for me, I'm backing up the producers in what they are doing. We have several, uh, you know, various people here, produce various games. Like my boss, John Combs, he's producing Outpost Zero right now. So one of the things that I'm helping him with is making sure that all their bug tracking boards are updated from all the feedback they're getting from Trello, and all the feedback they're getting from Discord. Tomorrow it's going into early access, so that's going to be a pretty fun thing because if a game's going into early access, I'm going to see all the things that people missed. I'm going to log all those bugs. It's going to be fine. I'm going to enjoy it.
Like, that's not the usual kind of thought process we get when people are launching into early access. More fear, more anxiety, trepidation.
I mean, with that, like just working with the Outpost devs and meeting them in person, they are so good at making games that it's unreal. Like, they're making a game of AAA quality, and we're helping them do it. Like, whenever we tell them, hey, like this should be this way, they're like, okay, cool, and then they come out with a brand new build like 15, 20, 30 minutes later. That's a joke, but it's relatively quick. They can crank out a new build for, hey, we think this doesn't feel right. Okay, well, here's a new one. We're pushing it out in 3 hours. Test it then. They're an amazing team to work with. So we are excited that we've been able to get them to that early access stage where we're happy with it and they're happy with it, so that we can get this game like perfect on like amazing.
Right. So before we continue, I believe we have a trailer of Outpost Zero here.
Give me 1 second.
So just play that.
No, you don't go on that one.
Live broadcasting.
I feel the pain. I do every Thursday.
Indeed. Sometimes it takes a bit of time to set things up, and you got to fill the space.
Especially when Chrome puts it in the wrong set of windows from your stack of trailers.
Right. Anyway, is that ready to go?
Pulling up the thing now. All right, we should be ready.
All right, proceed. All right. So if you couldn't discern from the trailer itself, this is a multiplayer survival game. Is it a battle royale game?
It is not a battle royale game.
Okay, just need to clarify that because honestly,
Yeah,
looking at the-
everything is turning into a battle royale somehow.
yeah. Plus, Tinybuild has some battle royale games we're going to be talking about a bit later here. But so anyway, what is the backstory of Outpost Zero?
So Outpost Zero is a survival sci-fi game where you are an android sent to colonize the planet Gaia. And so once you land on the planet via drop pod, you are to scavenge resources, get iron, get carbon, set up your base, and ultimately set up a corporation to, colonize the planet. The thing is that there's going to be other players. There's going to be random pirate raids. There's events that go on, such as flying ships impact the ground, and you can go scavenge stuff from them. There's going to be volcanoes that erupt and just rain hellfire on your base, and you have to make sure you repair it. As well as the coolest part about the game is that you can just make a fleet of drones to mine, defend your base, rebuild it, stock all like the turrets that you can build. It's crazy. Like it's a pretty damn cool game.
Yeah. So it's something like Ark or Rust.
Yeah.
you
It's
know.
something like Ark or Rust in the survival aspect, but there's a couple like cool things that differentiate it from those two.
And what would you say those are?
Such as the AI that can ultimately run your base for you even when you're offline, the joining of corporations with other players to like make all your stuff and theirs singular, so you can actually like produce a lot crazier stuff. You can build faster, you get materials faster. So that's all the cooperative type of things, as well as the world events. There's going to be like pirate raids, as I said before. There's going to be like random bases that they come and assault you. They're going to try to take your base. We're going for a pretty large game.
Okay, makes sense. Giving survival, crafting.
Yeah.
Whatever you call this genre. I suppose on that note, I should ask if there are zombies.
If there's a what?
If there are zombies in the game.
No.
It's another really popular thing in survival games. I mean, DayZ and whatnot. So, anyway, that being said, what kind of state is this game entering when it comes out in early access tomorrow?
So, I mean, it is early access. We have been in a closed beta for some time now, and this I would say that the early access is still in the closed beta state, but we are moving into finishing the beta to going into close to release. But there, yeah, keep going.
You're anticipating a short early access time.
I mean, that we don't know, because at that point, a bunch of players can get into the early access, and if we realize that some things aren't working, we're gonna have to rework it and go from there. If players do X thing that we didn't intend and it's a great mechanic, we might as well implement it.
Fair enough. Now, in terms of content, is this game content complete, or are you going to be adding things?
We're going to be adding things. Like there's been tons of things added since we went into the closed beta and where we are now.
Okay. Can you detail some of the additions?
So the additions were that at the beginning of closed beta, most of the weapons all looked the same. Now they're actually like fully detailed and modeled, as well as the environments have changed. There's different like minerals stacks and stuff like that. So some of them are small, some of them are big. They're all shaped differently. Uranium is now spread a lot further into the map, like in different areas instead of just one cluster. You now drop into the map via drop pod instead of just spawning in. Pirates no longer just fly out of the sky and just land in a drop pod. They actually now come in a spaceship and they land and they jump out. to attack you. Instead of just having 2 really high level drones that attack you, now it can be up to 5, and they're different levels. And we've added a lot.
Sounds like it. Sounds like it. And it sounds like you're going to continue adding on during the early access. Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, at exactly what point do you determine when this game is in a released state, so to speak?
I mean, at that point, I can't say, because right now, going into early access, we know what we want to do. We want to make sure that we flush out everything and make sure that we have a great experience. Great first couple 30 minutes, first hour, first 3, first 10, to get you invested, to get you honed in, to get you locked. We want to make sure that that is perfect before we even think about being like, okay, this is ready for release. I mean, because there's just so much more content that we can put into the game that can make players, enjoy the beginning, enjoy the mid game, and enjoy late game.
And how many players are you looking to support?
So right now, the servers go up to 30.
30. Right.
But we are looking at a lot bigger. 30 was just for the closed beta, because we only gave X amount of keys out, so we wanted to make sure that we had enough server space.
Of course. I suppose the question is, what do you think the final number is going to be?
So with that, I hope for 100. I hope that we can support, because the map is a set map. It's grid based. So with that, you can only control so much territory without players just griefing each other constantly. We want to make sure that it's not a super crazy, insane free-for-all where people just come in and just wreck you instantaneously because you landed in another person's territory. And there's drones and there's turrets everywhere. We want to make sure that we can evenly space it out. Players can build where they want to. They can claim the territories, and then from there they can attack each other. So I would hope for 100. I see 100 being a good number. I don't know what the developers want to do. I don't know what the higher ups at Tinybuild want to do. Because they could just be like, we want 1 million players, and okay, 1 million players.
That would be a number. I'm like,
yeah,
maybe not attainable, but anyway, in terms of character customization, what are you going for here?
So right now you spawn in as a general purpose robot. With that, you can make different tiers of armor, from tier 1, which you have soldier armor, stalker armor, and just the general worker armor, which gives you a butt ton more battery life, because your unit, what you play, is a robot. So it's life. You do have life, you do have shields, but the power, you have to keep recharging yourself throughout everything you're doing. So all your actions drain your power. So you can put on different armor to extend that battery life, to make sure that you have more inventory space, to make sure you have more shields, to make sure that your health regenerates, makes your weapon stronger. And then those all have tiers up to 3. So, and then you can mix and match and do all that other type of stuff. As well as, I'm pretty sure there's rocket boots now.
Oh, what are those?
Rocket boots, so you can
right.
jump really high in the air.
Yeah. Let's bring back some Quake memories. Let's see. In terms of computer platforms, is this game coming to Windows only, or is there going to be Mac and Linux builds?
So right now we are doing Windows only, but we should be shooting to run on Mac and Linux. If not, that's just me. I'm hoping we can do it, but right now we're focusing on Windows, making sure that we get it perfect on one platform.
Makes sense. Especially since, is this game being built in, say, Unity or Unreal?
It's being built in Unreal 4.
Okay. I think that should allow for portability across.
Yeah, we can port it. The thing is that
right.
With everything, I mean, Linux-based computers, you can upgrade them. You can upgrade a Mac to a certain point, but it's going to be nowhere near the graphical type of stuff you can do with the Windows-based machine.
Right. Like, well, let's see. Any plans for consoles for this game?
So right now, we don't know. We're making sure that it runs and has a good community on PlayStation, but I mean on PC. But if consoles become a thing, if we do have that good community, we'll probably port it. We've ported a lot of our games to consoles. Right now, we're porting a lot of our older games as well as our newer games on Switch. We've done Cluster Truck, Final Station. We're putting Hello Neighbor on there. We just released Garage. Like, we're doing a lot with the Switch.
I've noticed. Like, I think you got some other games coming for the Switch.
Yeah, Party Hard, Hello Neighbor. We got Road to Valhalla. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the Switch is a pretty popular place for the indie set these days.
It's a fantastic place for the indies.
Yeah. Like, though, moving forward, up next we got Rapture Rejects. So,
Ooh.
Petty Fan, if you can just cue up that trailer.
Okay. Which one is it? Okay, there it is.
Dear God, every day I strive to be closer to your light. I pray that when Judgment Day, that most holiest of days, comes upon us, when you bring all the good people to heaven, that I may live in eternal glory by your side. Amen.
Love this trailer.
Little help? Thanks, brah.
Get.
Harold! Get down here this instant! You didn't break the leaves!
Smell you later, you old bag! Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it!
So, interestingly enough, Rapture Rejects here is a battle royale game, even though it doesn't really look like it. At least none that come to mind. Like, so I suppose my first question is,
Yeah, they're not usually isometric.
This is the first isometric battle royale.
is that what attracted you to this project in the first place?
So, I mean, I came on before we got Rapture. I mean, after we got Rapture Royale. So I don't know about the acquisition process, but I know that people from Galvanic, Patrick and CJ, as well as Royce, they've known Alex and Luke for some time now, and Patrick and the Galvanic guys actually met Cyanide and Happiness at a prior PAX. And when they started talking, they just talked to Alex and he loved it. So I'm pretty sure from there, that's when we're like, we're making this game, we're doing it. And the thing is that it actually used to be a survival game until the battle royale scene blew up, and the survival game was like, it was good. Like, I liked playing it when I first joined, but the battle royale just seems so much more of a better fit for this IP, what they're doing, how it is.
And on the note of that IP, Perhaps, like the most surprising thing is this is actually based off of a licensed property, a webcomic called Cyanide and Happiness. I say surprising is because we don't get to see the webcomic scene really represented in this space all too often. Like, and I suppose my first question is: are you actually like familiar with Cyanide and Happiness? Have you read?
Yeah. I've read a couple of them. I watched a bunch of their shorts.
Mhm.
And when I found out that that was the project they were working on when I got hired, I was just like, man, I can't wait to see like what the hell is going to be made. I remember first playing it, the devs just brutally murdered me, but it's a lot of fun. Like it's crazy. I played PUBG as well as totally accurate battle simulator. Fortnite, and this is just it's a game in itself. It's a different monster, and that's what I love about it.
Well, it's got some obvious differentials, mainly in the perspective and the art style. Does it have anything going for it mechanically?
I mean, mechanically, it's still you drop in, you find weapons, you kill each other. The the rings come in. They're there to force everyone to go to a singular area, and you end the game. I mean, mechanically, it has its own type of battle and how it feels with the different weapons and the special abilities that they have with them. But overall, it's a battlegrounds game.
Right. And is it going to have the typical battle royale modes?
So right now it's the typical, last person to survive. They're thinking about teams, but right now we're trying to make sure the game plays perfectly, and we're right now trying to make sure that we can fit the server capacity that we want. Like we're running 50 perfectly right now. Well, not perfectly, but we're running with 50 players at a good rate.
Like, are you shooting for 60 frames per second here?
I mean, it's right now running at a really good frame rate.
Okay. And are you going to increase that to 100?
Frames or people?
100 players. 100 players.
Yes. That we are shooting for 100 players. But we got to make sure that the servers can take it. We got to make sure there's a player basis behind it. We got to make sure the map has, it feels good for 100 players. It's not overly populated. It's not too small. It's not too big. You're not just wandering around. These are things that you got to make sure that you tweak and you get it right.
Right. And I believe the game is currently in closed alpha state.
Yes, it's currently in closed alpha.
Like, so how much? Like, are you seeing this game getting released in 2019?
We as Tinybuild higher ups, we really haven't discussed when we want to release it, but we do know that, we want to go early access in the next couple of months.
Okay, not surprising given the type of game on display here. And as much as I would like to focus more on it, time is kind of dwindling down, so we've got to move on to our last game, Secret Neighbor.
Ooh.
Yes. Petty Fan, as soon as you get that trailer ready.
I believe I'm ready to go.
All right, then hit it.
All right. We're almost there. We just need to find the red key.
There's one person missing. Looks like Billy got caught.
Let's split and search the second floor. Remember, don't trust anyone. Suspicious. Look for the key in the drawer. I will check the wardrobe. We are going to win. So, have you found the key?
Hello and welcome to Secret Neighbor. I hope you enjoyed watching the reveal as much as I enjoyed trying to act, and please don't hate me on Twitter. Anyway, Secret Neighbor is the first expansion of the Hello Neighbor universe. Events take place between Act 1 and 2 of the main game. Spoilers, if you haven't played it, go play Hello Neighbor. In the first act, or at the end of it, the main protagonist gets captured and is locked in the neighbor's basement. And events of Secret Neighbor follow a group of kids that are trying to rescue their friend from the creepy neighbor's basement. They have to scatter around the house and find hidden keys to the basement door. The only problem is that one or maybe two, we haven't decided yet, of the players are actually secret neighbors in disguise. Secret neighbors have multiple tools available at their disposal, which we'll dive deeper into in later videos. Today I want to talk a little bit about specifically the social aspect of the game, because the game is a social horror experience, which means that there is proximity voice chat that you use to gain trust of other players or to verify if other players are actually neighbors in disguise. Now, if we follow the neighbor player here, you can see that he can quite easily turn into a player. And using proximity voice chat, he's trying to gain the trust of the players around him. So he is scattering about, he meets two other players. He sees that one of the players is carrying a lamp, and any object in the game can be used as a weapon, while the other player has nothing to defend himself with. And of course, the neighbor instantly turns and attacks one of the players. He grabs them and, well, then they're kind of gone. I hope ESRB likes that. And the other player, without seeing many options, goes to retreat. This is the core concept of the game, and there's many more ways the neighbor can influence his surroundings, and the kids can defend themselves. We'll get into details of that a little bit later. Meanwhile, just enjoy some gameplay, and don't forget to sign up for the alpha, which is coming very soon, and we will need to test this game very thoroughly. Alpha signups will be open until it actually starts, and we'll be giving away keys at random. So please make sure to sign up on secretneighbor.com, and thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you next time.
Уходим.
All right. So yeah, thank you, trailer overview. Anyway, so my first question is, where did the idea come from to take Hello Neighbor multiplayer?
So actually that was something that Alex and them wanted to do for a while. And, you know, before I was at Tinybuild, I always made the joke being like, hey, when are we going to get, like, you know, Hello Neighbor multiplayer? When are we going to do Hello Neighbor Battlegrounds? Like, stuff like that. So when I didn't even know about this until the release, until they released that trailer, which was pretty funny to me. I'm like, holy crap. So now that that's on the radar, like, you know, we're pretty excited to be able to bring the Hello Neighbor universe back into another game.
Right. And I suppose my next question is, why an interport? That is to say, it's a game that's happening in between a couple of the episodes.
Yeah.
what's the rationale between having this game take place between episode 1 and episode 2 of Hello Neighbor?
So, as Alex did say, you were captured, and kids have friends, and everyone wants to save their friend, be a hero. So with that, we were like, okay, well, we want to do a multiplayer. We want to make sure that you actually know what the objective is, and that's to rescue your friend from the basement. So with that, we're like, okay, well, it fits perfectly between the acts of 1 and 2, because at the beginning of 2, you're escaping the basement. And so that's where we put in this game. And we're like, okay, this seems logical.
I can see that. And how many kids are there? Like, how many players?
Right now we're shooting for 8 players per match. There can be up to 2 neighbors. And so we're saying about like 6 kids. But there could be 1 neighbor as well. So 7 kids, 1 or 6 versus 2.
So even if you have a full 8-player match, there still could only be 1 neighbor?
Yeah, it could be 1 or 2 neighbors.
All right.
You never know.
And are those designations random or are they assigned?
So it's going to be random. It's going to be, you spawn in, your 1 player is notified, hey, by the way, you're the neighbor. It's like Werewolf.
Right. Or The Thing, or it's like
yeah,
it's like I'm imagining this is where a big part of the horror is coming from, because no, nothing. Doing horror in a setting like this is difficult.
Mm-hmm. It'll be horror in the sense that you have no clue who is trying to screw you over.
Right.
Because since everything is proximity based, you can hear the kids screaming, but you don't. If you're not close to them, you can't hear that kid being like, "Oh, it's this player, it's this player." So you got to run over to see. Okay, well, or you just see if you can hear that, or the kid just dies. Well, we're not going to say dies. He just gets captured.
Okay. Less grim.
Yeah.
Like, so what can the neighbors do to stop?
So, I mean, you can grab the kids to like eliminate them. Kids can throw objects at the neighbor, but the neighbor can also turn into objects. He can turn into a kid. He can flip switches on and off to like scare the crap out of you. He can see through walls. Like it's pretty crazy.
And how much? Like, how long would a match take? Like, is this
about 20 minutes? About 20 minutes.
Okay. And what items do the kids have to like counter the neighbors? And
so, with that, you are trying to get keys to unlock the door, so that you can get your friend from the basement. As in Hello Neighbor, you can pick up mostly everything in that game. So you can use trash cans, boxes, everything. You can just toss it at the neighbor to screw him over and run away.
And how is the voice chat system going to work?
So the voice chat is going to be proximity based. So if you're around another player, you can hear them talking. But if you're too far away, you can, hopefully we do it so you can faintly hear them and then just gradually increases. Or if you're X amount of feet away, you just can't hear them at all.
Now, if there are multiple neighbors, will they have a way to, or they still have to abide by the proximity?
Neighbors can see each other and they can talk to each other.
All right.
Interesting. And how many maps are going to be in Secret Neighbor?
So right now, I don't know that because I got only so much information on this. I've been being like, Alex, I need to play it. You got to tell me what's up. So these are the things that I've gotten to rip out of him over the last couple of months.
Okay, that's unfortunate since it makes detailed things.
As well as the neighbor also has a control room where he can go in and activate different things in the house, lock off certain areas. It's pretty dope. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, from what I've seen here, it looks pretty interesting. Like,
Yeah.
I can't quite think of a game quite like this. In in terms of design,
Yeah.
maybe it exists or whatever, but just anyway. So I suppose my final question on Secret Neighbor here is: do you have any updated details on the alpha?
The alpha. I mean, I haven't even played the game. Like, so with that, I want to know. Do you have any information on the alpha that I don't know?
Afraid not. I just the trailer here talked about it.
So hopefully around PAX we'll be able to get that alpha out. Hopefully. That's just me talking. That's Chris talking. That's not like, okay, me, I would like it to be out around PAX because then that would give, that would give it a good thing to give out at PAX, being like, hey, sign up, for the alpha, and we'll get you in. Yeah.
Hopefully that is the case. Anyway, so I'll see if my colleagues here have any final questions on the games we showcased here.
As far as like Secret Neighbor, does that like have much in the way of actual plot relevance to the neighbor's, I guess, game? The like normal neighbor, or is it just kind of a side thing?
It's a side thing, but it also expands the universe so that you know what is going on between when you were captured and shoved into the basement, and then you just finally something helps you out. And you get to open the door and escape to the outside and then do all the puzzles in the second act to leave and then grow up.
And I think that's the only question I had. Does anybody else have anything?
I'm good.
Not really. I'm looking forward to seeing more of these games, but I think you've explained things pretty well, and Battle Royale isn't really my biggest thing, so...
I mean, I would try out Rapture Rejects. It's pretty fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's not like I don't have as many questions for comparison to things, so...
Yeah.
Anyway, so that'll about do it for this interview session. Chris, once again, I'd like to thank you for taking time out of your schedule and joining us, especially on such short notice.
No problem.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we'll either have you or Carrie on again in the future, whenever there is another game to be talked about, as I'm sure there will be. Anyway.
Well, yeah, no, just hit me up. You have my Skype, you have my email. Just message me. If you can't get in contact with Carrie, one of us will talk.
Right. Anyway, be sure. Oh, I did forget one. I did want to ask one last thing about Outpost Zero pricing. How much is this going to cost when it comes out tomorrow?
So at this point, I actually don't know. Today was a huge cluster of things that we needed to do. My boss, that was actually one of the questions I was trying to get from my boss, and it slipped my mind. I'm so sorry about that. But it comes out tomorrow, so you'll know.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, Outpost Zero. Look for it on Steam tomorrow, and hopefully it strikes your fancy. Petty Fan, play us to the next segment. All right. So welcome to the topic of discussion. This week is going to be a headache because we got to talk about something that's causing, well, headaches. Yes. So, okay. ArenaNet. All right. If you've not heard what this is, I envy the rock you are under. But to very quickly recap the events, about Thursday, about a week ago, Guild Wars 2 developer ArenaNet had the firing heard across the world, basically. So what happened is one of their narrative writers, Jessica Price, got into a flap on Twitter, and the end result of that found her lacking a job. And shortly thereafter, another writer for ArenaNet, Peter Fries, decided to stick up for her, saying that ArenaNet went too far in their firing, and he also found himself out of a job. And this has kickstarted, yet another gamer firestorm that nobody fucking needed or wanted. In case you can't tell which side I come down on, mostly on the side of the writers. Knowing the comment that got her fired, I will say, yeah, that is the kind of thing that can get you fired from a job. But the problem is the handling. Jessica, not surprising, was the target of harassment because, I'll strip it down to brass tacks. She's a woman in video games. That's all it needs. That's all it needs to be. And what this particular powder keg has exploded is, well, now that the mob has gotten a couple of scalps, they think they can get a few more, to say the least. So yeah, they're, the internet hate mob has been taking to other developers, trying to get women and people of color fired, because that is what they are. If I need to explain further, well, they hate these people because they exist and they are in quote unquote their space.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are fucking scared, and rightfully so, because. So I'm going to talk about South Korea for a bit here, because they're trying to get things to be like they are in South Korea. This is a story that's been going on for, a state of being that has been going on for about a year, maybe more. I'm not exactly sure on the timeline details, but what I do know is feminism is literally a dirty word in South Korean game development. Any sort of public female game developer who even has a whiff of feminism has to decry that, lest they face the pitchforks and torches of the hate mob over there. And it hasn't got a lot of play over here because it's something that's going on in the South Korea development community. I've heard about it on the margins, and unfortunately, there doesn't seem a lot anyone can do about it right now. I'm not sure what the situation, and this is some shit I heard a while ago, so I'm not sure how the situation is exactly right now. But that is basically what the Gamergators and the assorted alt-right pieces of shit want to have over here. So far it hasn't took because, well, first of all, the games industry isn't a fucking monolith. It's also, unfortunately, it's kind of down to the individual publisher or developer. Some have some have policies on this sort of thing, internet harassment. Some do not. So far these attempts have been unsuccessful. Scary, but unsuccessful. They tried pulling this shit with Arcane Studios, and they literally got laughed at. you know, but you can see how this is a fucking problem. Like, and this gets into a whole host of other things, like the fact that Jessica wasn't representing ArenaNet with her commentary. Like, she was doing it from her personal account, and she was talking about, shit she is familiar with. And that is another thing the marginalized developers have to face is armchair enthusiasts, let's say. People
the specific way she responded to the issue was probably not the best way to do it, but being a writer for video games and also for tabletop role-playing stuff, I can understand she probably has a lot of frustration built up being a female writer working in those things.
Right. I mean, she came down to the next random asshat who chimed in was going to get blocked, and it ended up turning out to be somebody who has I'm trying to think, an influencer contract or something to that effect with ArenaNet. So not only did we get the firing of a couple of the writers, they apologized for the comments. I'm like, yeah, it's no wonder that the hate mob got emboldened.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, yeah, it's like I 100% can't say what Jessica did was right. There were so many other fucking ways this could have been handled.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
This is like the worst way. Like, there was no sticking by your employees, no nuance, no nothing. Just
Mm-hmm.
There is such a thing as to issue an apology. It doesn't even have to be a particularly thorough or sincere apology, really.
No. It's like that's all that was probably needed. Because these people was not going to stop hating her because they hate what she is and who she is more. But anyway, and this is kind of a developing story. I don't know the current status of Jessica or Peter, like if they've secured other employment in the industry. That's actually something nobody's fucking talked about.
Right.
All I've been hearing is about the fucking fallout, and what's going on elsewhere. I'm not like, do these two people have new jobs? Are they going to be able to find new jobs? Because I'm like, this is also stuff that could get them effectively blackballed. Not so much ArenaNet having the power to stop them from working elsewhere. No, it's more, well, they're going to see the reason for being fired.
Mm-hmm.
And
like if this was just kept quiet, then it wouldn't have been a problem. But the fact is, all the gaming media attention and whatnot.
Right. So, it's concerning. It's very concerning, and we might have an update on that. Granted, I'll say at the very least, Jessica could probably secure employment outside the industry, since
she freelances for Pathfinder and some other things, so at the very least. So
it's like Peter, I don't really, I know less about. So hopefully they land on their feet. I mean, this is kind of a short topic of discussion, but it's something that needed to be talked about.
Mm-hmm.
So does anyone else have anything left to say about this fucking situation?
It's terrible and should have been handled far better.
Yeah, I think everybody made bad decisions here.
Yeah.
Starting with the person who tried to school a scenario writer on writing scenarios in MMORPGs, and all the way up to the company responding to the response to the response.
Anyway, so with that frustration out of the way, we shall conclude this particular broadcast of Fragments of Silicon. The week ahead. So coming up on Sunday, we have reviews of Red Faction Guerrilla Remastered. That pun hurts. That pun has not stopped hurting. But yeah, this is a remastered version of Red Faction Guerrilla. So I've been having problems with the new version of Red Faction Guerrilla. It doesn't really want to play well with my laptop. The thing is, I played about 40 hours of the game, like with the Steam edition. So I know the game. Granted, never did get to try out multiplayer, but my remaster's a little too unstable for me to test that out. I suppose it doesn't really matter because multiplayer is not really the draw when it comes to Guerrilla. Mm-hmm. It's being able to having one of the most robust destruction tools ever seen in a game in GeoMod 2.0. Finally really fulfilling the dream of the Red Faction series and being able to destroy anything and everything. Hell, there are open world games today that can't do the things that Red Faction Guerrilla is doing. Also on the docket for Sunday is Bloodstained Curse of the Moon. I keep having to catch myself calling this a Castlevania game because it's not shy about
even the title screen is really, the font for Curse of the Moon is very similar to the classic Castlevania font. They know what they're doing.
Yeah. That draws Igarashi.
Yeah, I'm like, it's a solid game, though. Calling it the next Shovel Knight is a bit hyperbolic.
Yeah.
It's like I'll say it right now. It doesn't have the content to really stack up against something like Shovel Knight, but it is a solid game for what it's supposed to be, which is basically an extra for the Kickstarter.
Yeah, I was about to say, this isn't the real game, though. The real game's coming later this year, or is it early next year?
I think it's this year, but I'm kind of.
I think it's still late this year, but we don't have a precise date yet.
Yeah.
I'm like, but yeah, this is this was originally intended to be a handheld project that got moved to everything. But anyway, yeah, more on these games this Sunday. So next week, as mentioned before, we are going to be broadcasting at some unconventional times. So our first episode is actually the Wednesday episode. On Wednesday, July 18th, at the time of 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, we will be having Nicola Barker of HB Studios. So this is going to be an interesting one because HB Studios' stock and trade are sports games. I think this might be the first dedicated sports developer we're going to have on the broadcast.
Oh man, I sportsed a game once.
And to further compound that, they've worked on niche sports, let's call them. Stuff like
curling online.
Not quite that, but they've done a whole bunch of rugby and cricket games.
British games.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a lot of soccer here as well. Like they've done a shit ton for EA, FIFA, NBA Live. But what they're working on now is the golf club. Yes, I'm sure that pun is completely intended. We're going to be zeroing in on the Golf Club 2019 featuring the PGA Tour. Yeah, they actually got the PGA license. So this is going to be an interesting challenge because, yeah, this isn't the kind of stuff we usually feature on the program. That being said, I have played golf games in the past. Just they tended to be more Mario based than Tiger Woods based, let's say. So, and speaking of challenges, on Thursday, July 19th, at the time of 11 a.m., we will be having Rick Vanner of the Game Creators. So, this is another first for us, as we're going to be talking about our first game software, game development software, the App Games Kit. We did a couple reviews, games featuring, that program, and we got in touch with the developers, and they agreed to an interview. Once again, this isn't the stuff we usually have covered, so it's going to be new territory. There was at one point the offer to review the actual kit, and we kind of passed on that because that's not our wheelhouse.
None of us have enough development experience to be able to tell whether it's any good or not.
Yeah, that just comes down, we can evaluate games themselves just fine. We've played a shit ton of them, and we continue to do so. Actually developing the games, we've absorbed some shit through osmosis on this program, but actually programming and that is an undertaking I really didn't feel comfortable with. Nobody did. So just the interview will do. All right, and that is what's coming up. Be sure to tune in on Sunday and next week. And until then, I shall wish you good gaming.